Welcome into another episode of Transformations with Ordinary Pioneer. My name is Helena Schrieffer, the founder of Ordinary Pioneer, our spiritual healing community in White House, Ohio. And I am here with Joe Sparks, the owner of Joe's Yoga and Fitness, which is in Perrysburg. And I'm so grateful that you're here today because you are an inspiration to me. You're an incredible teacher, a yoga instructor, and we'll kind of get into all the ins and outs of what you do. But first off, thank you for being here, Joe.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes, of course. And you're a busy guy. You every time I see, if you follow Joe on social media, you swim in the Maumee River, you teach yoga, you do all of these wonderful collaborations with Nature's Nursery, and you have the Momentum program. This is going to be airing after the Momentum program, but Toledo has a Momentum program that they're putting on that you'll be participating in September. How do you fit all of that in?
That's a good question. That's really good. I follow my mind. I trust my thinking, and I do what I love. It's for me. It's enjoying my life. For me, if I do that, not only do I benefit, but you benefit. It's part of being a leader. Showing. If I'm having a good life, enjoying myself, I think that's pretty attractive.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good.
And you seem to be really enjoying. Every time I see you, you have this beautiful smile on your face. And when I think of you, that's the smile. You have just this contagious energy about you and this inspiration. So with all of can you share a little bit actually with what is it that the different activities that you do and the programs that you're involved with?
Well, I've been teaching for a number of years. At my yoga studio, particularly, I teach yoga, and some of the classes are heated. I teach kettlebells, strength conditioning. I teach running, running mechanics. I invented the Easy Run belt.
Which is awesome, by the way. We did a one-on-one
last
we did.
Year, and
it was
so
incredible.
Good.
Yes, very informative. I've been running differently. I learned, a better way to run for my body through that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. What I found out, I love being in my body since I was a little one. Just something about moving, being in my body, feeling connected, and I've never gave up on that. Of just. It's just part of my DNA, just movement, and there's freedom in that, and to move the way that I want to. It's just part of who I am. And I worked for a company that I'm glad that I did, and I look back at it, but it wasn't for me. I had to find my own way, trusting my thinking, and I'm so glad I did. And that's been over 30 years ago. And I started out as a massage therapist. So I also do massage therapy, mainly now chair massage. Okay. But I used to do, table massage. I used to work at the Kurhaus here in Grand Rapids, different chiropractors. And there was something about touch that's always been important. Being in touch, being touched, that connectedness. So there's this theme running through my life. But I just feel so blessed. Being Joe, doing what he loves. It's been challenging.
Well, you mentioned, since you were younger, enjoying being in the body, when did you first realize the body and the power of the body? Do you have a memory associated with that?
I think as little ones, we used to, my father, my parents, we spent most of our time being outdoors, through all the seasons. We just played and played for hours. We would play in the dirt. We would be covered in dirt, but our parents never said, it was never a bad thing. We played hard, had fun, and we just felt, that we could do anything. There was something about giving that freedom of movement, that ability to notice, just to enjoy, our environment. We just had a little home and little backyard, but it seemed huge to us.
The word play comes to mind, and when I
Yes.
think of you, I think of play because you know, I've watched some of your videos before, and you'll incorporate like puppets and stuff like that. I mean, and it's wonderful, and to hear that that's kind of where it originated, is playing in the mud, which a lot of us don't really have permission to do as young kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was blessed. My parents were wonderful that way. You know, just you know, having that opportunity, having an older brother and 3 younger sisters, so the 5 of us, you know, just played constantly. You know, there was a small house, 2 bedrooms. The 4 of us were in 1 bedroom. You know, my sisters were sleeping together. My brother and I were together. My baby sister was sleeping with, you know, the same bedroom, you know, as my parents. So we were very close, tight-knit. My brother and I were like 10 months apart. So we were like twins.
Yeah.
So we just were just that close to each other. We did everything together. It was really interesting. You don't know back then, but it was just, you know, how well I would benefit from that. Even though I had some, you know, that ended pretty quickly, you know, and things sort of, how would they say, blew up for my family. Things got pretty challenging. My father was a World War II vet. Back then, they didn't know what PTSD was.
Yeah.
So he did 3 tours of duty in the Pacific, and it was a long way from home, and he was doing things no human being should have to do, which, you know, I didn't understand it until I, you know, became an adult and realized how brutal that is for men to do. It goes against human beings. We don't want to hurt things. My father was this, from what I gather, was this gentle, loving soul as a young person who grew up during the Depression. And my grandparents came over here from Europe. We're from this Hungarian Romani descent. This is part of my heritage. There's the Hungarian and the Romani side.
Okay.
So, which is a cool mixture.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so I would be considered like the 2nd generation here in living in the U.S. Same with my mom, and you married within that same ethnic group. You didn't marry outside of that, which is interesting now that I think about it. But anyhow, you know, good people, caring people, you know, and just through some tough times, and because of that, and not able to recover from that, it made it. You know, my parents split up because my father used, you know, drinking as a way to deal with that pain and that hurt. It's a way of medicating himself, you know, but he couldn't take care of us the way we needed it. And then unfortunately, then my mother ended up having breast cancer. So that kind of made it really difficult really quick. And at the time, so I was probably 10, you know, she was persuaded to give us up to a welfare agency. And there was 5 of us, we went to an orphanage. Okay. So you could say that is unexpected.
Yeah.
And the thing, you know, it was how would you say, an injustice and a tragedy. And I even talk about this in my, at this performance that I'll be doing, which I hope to do in schools about the climate and our relationship to the environment. Yeah. I swim in the river for a reason. One, I love swimming in the river, but it's my home. It's like in my backyard. You know, we're made of water. Yes. You know, every time you drink, you're drinking from the Maumee River. Oh, of course, it's a little cleaned up.
Right, yeah, thankfully.
Yes. You know, it makes sense, but it's, you know, we're this fluid creatures. And we're like that as young people. You know, that's resilience that I went to this, lost everything. I went into the orphanage, and I don't know, some people don't do so well, but I have this resilience from my family, from my people. I made the best out of it. I looked at it in a way, was like, I had 5 of us, now there was 200 young people to play with. Isn't that amazing?
And so when you went there, was
Go ahead.
it, so you referred to it as kind of like this tragedy.
Yes.
When did that switch from like a tragedy to, oh wow, I get all these other kids to play with? Was it immediate, or
No.
did you have
Oh,
to
no.
adjust, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an adjustment.
Yeah.
And I think only because the way it was presented to us. It wasn't like, all right, my mom, and it was not her fault. It wasn't the welfare agency and all that involved, but there wasn't like, all right, in a month from now, you're going to go to this place. So we're going to take you to this place. You're going to meet these young people. It was like, all right, we were just dropped in that place. Yeah. It would be considered a shock.
Yeah.
Because I remember just as going to kindergarten, it was sort of that same thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to kindergarten. I'm going like, kindergarten? I want to be with my mom.
Yeah.
Why? I'm learning everything I am from my mother.
Mm.
So there wasn't that thought process about young people. And the cool thing about kindergarten is that my kindergarten teacher, I would not leave the cloakroom. She did not drag me out of the cloakroom. It was probably, a day or two, but it felt like a month.
Yeah.
And then when I was ready to be with the other young people, I was great. I mean, it just, that awareness, not forcing, something on me, giving me that space, that patience, that respect, that I'll never forget that. And I wish all the rest of my teachers were like that.
Yeah.
But you know what they say, you learn everything about life in kindergarten. There's a book about that.
Well, and going through as a child, we get programmed in certain ways, and from what I'm gathering from you sharing your story and your relationship with water and the Maumee River, is we are innately these creatures, and then we get challenged, our character gets challenged by these stories that we have, where we all have something. I mean, that's why I have this show, because we all have a story to tell. We've all had that traumatic experience happen where our character is tested. And then the transformation takes place by how we connect with the story and choose to move forward differently than maybe an alternate choice to stay locked in that cage of our trauma. So how would you say from your childhood and kindergarten, and you mentioned, being 10 and then going into the orphanage, how did you start to learn how to break away from that trauma, that shock of being within that system?
Wow, that's a really good question. It's really good.
Teach us, Joe. How do we
good.
do it?
How do we do it? Yes, yes. Well, we're all doing it in our own way. And just by listening, telling our stories, I think you hit upon something that's so important. We learn from our stories, our life stories. They're so rich, they're so valuable. And, it's just the listening is so healing, not trying to, direct it. You're just being open and relaxed. I mean, I learned so much, about other people, and I'm just so blessed that they feel safe enough to show themselves, share. And what I did was the last thing is like, I always kept a part of who I was in my mind. My mother was this incredible human being. When I was a little boy, anytime I got scared, and this is a Roma thing, she would say, grab onto my leg, grab onto my leg. So I could be as scared as I want. She never said, let go. She, let me let go when I was ready. It means she dragged me around the house, but that was okay. Yeah. So I got that sense that I belong. I'm okay. It's okay to be scared. It's okay. So I could take that in there at orphanage, and they were like younger kids. I sort of became their protector. It was sort of like I took that on. And it really helps to volunteer a lot.
Yes, yeah.
I want to volunteer.
Yeah.
Especially to get the food.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bonus.
Or they have these buffers to buff the floor. Oh yeah, you had to. It was a skill. So I tried to. It's like how do you make the best out of what was given to you? I got that from my family, because the Roma people, when you don't have a lot of material wealth, you make do with what you got. And I got that message big time. You don't need a lot because we have each other.
Yeah.
That's something about that closeness, we didn't have separate bedrooms we went into, you know what I mean? So when you went to the orphanage, there were 4 of us in a room.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm sort of used to this.
Right.
But it was, in myself, of course I miss my mother. Of course I miss my family. Of course I miss my school. I had a paper route. But I had a paper route in the 7th grade, in the 2nd grade when I was 7 for 3 years. I worked with this high school kid across the street, Henry, and he let me work with him. And it was really cool. And he gave me like 50 customers. So these people got to know this little boy every day delivering their paper to him, and then during the holidays, they would give me cookies and candies and stuff like that. So I had built these relationships, these connections. I didn't know years later I could tap into that, that connectedness, which is what we want. The sad part was I never got to grieve the losses.
Yeah.
If I would have been able to grieve that, it would have made a huge difference back then, but it was too hard to see a young person feel losing everything.
Yeah.
They didn't understand you're not going to heal through that unless you show it. They didn't want me to feel bad. Well, I'm going to feel.
Distract you with different things, and this is a lot.
I'm glad that I did those things.
Yeah.
Because the young people who didn't, they couldn't hang with it. They were gone.
Yeah.
Because they were upset. They needed to show their upsetness. Yeah. But there's a cost to that either way. You either internalize it or you act it out. There's no win. We need to come together and show it. I need to show you how happy, mad, sad, and glad I am. Yeah. But if you agree to listen, and guess what? I'll listen to you too.
How do you, we've all kind of experienced grief in different ways. How were you able to eventually tap into that grief and allow yourself to feel that? Was it automatic, or was it a conscious choice to go into that? It's
probably the hardest, scariest, most difficult thing, but I had a group of people who were willing to listen. I got into these listening circles, these healing circles, where everyone gets the equal amount of time to be heard. And, so there's from this place of, trust, a place of respect, place of love, but there have to be these rules, because we've all been hurt sharing our losses, that no one, if I would bring that up, no one would come up and talk about that with me unless they say, can I say something about what you said? You know what I mean? Because that personal stuff is so near and dear to us. We're so afraid to show it because, it just feels bad. But I'm so glad I was able to meet people who are like, that's just being human. Yeah. It's okay. Everyone has a loss. You could have lost a little, like a goldfish or a pet, or moved to another school. That's a loss. We never got to. That's one of the biggest things. I never got to say goodbye to all my classmates at the school that I went to. I never got to say goodbye to all my next door neighbors. I never got to say goodbye to the people who I delivered paper to. They probably, the thing is, they never came to see me. Yeah. Because back at the time, they were told that the thinking was, it's just going to make them feel worse. Well, guess what? It made me feel worse when they didn't show up.
Right.
It's what you would call, I could have abandonment issues.
Yes.
And if you don't heal from that, you will. You will feel unloved. You will feel not respected. You will feel defensive. You will feel, you won't trust people. But I trust you. I trust other people because I got to show what that was like for me. And the reason that I can is because I had to make a decision, which I think is difficult for a lot of people as an adult. I had to be doing well in the world, doing what I love, for me. So when I went from working for a company that was not, even though I was making lots of money, I made a lot of money. I traveled around the world, had expensive cars. I had expensive taste, but I was miserable.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about the money. Thank God I went through that. 17 years is kind of a long time to realize it's not going to change. And it's not anybody's fault, but their system is not here to care about people. We got to stop producing wealth and creating health. That's true wealth, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely, and there's a longevity in that as well. When we have this wealth, or material gain, fires happen, loss happen. I mean, some people lose jobs. I mean, it's not something tangible that we can hold on to forever. But when we have our health, and another way to think of that, I think is to nourish the spirit within. I mean, that's that everlasting life that's within, and that's what's going to carry us through no matter what happens in our life. So with all of what you've gone through, what's on the other side? What have you created for your life? I mean, aside from like the swimming and all of the things, like how do you feel in your life right now? What's this energy that's on the other side of the grief?
Well, grief will always be part of your life, but it won't have the effect. It's like, you can feel sad. If I see an animal in the road, this is the other thing that I do.
You do, and I love it. Would you share?
I will share.
Please.
This is just the other day, and I might cry a little bit.
Please, it's absolutely perfect to do.
So I'm heading home from the pool. I swim in the morning. I like to be there when the pool opens up. I'm an early morning person. I like to get up early and doing what I love about taking care of myself first, doing what I love. And on the way home, I'm coming home and it's probably 7 in the morning and it's light enough and I see this object in the middle of the road. So I stop my car and it's this juvenile possum. And it's been hit by a car, and I've been doing this. I started doing this as a way to work on my own grief, seeing this animal, and I just put on the 4-ways, make sure everything's okay, and I just gently pick it up and move it off of the road. And this one, the reason I have feelings about his body was still warm. I mean, it's this beautiful creature. It's like a brother. I mean, it's a loss to me, this creature has a family, had a life, it's significant. If I don't value, what does it say about me? I don't expect anybody to do this, but, the reason I can do this, I have emotional resource. I have people that as soon as I got home, I had a friend that, we talk every week on the phone, and I got to share, this is, this loss, I could feel, this precious creature, who knows, it was heading back home or maybe it was looking for food or water, but it was an accident. No one intentionally meant to hurt this, but it was still a loss. And I feel blessed that I've worked through enough of my grief, my losses through my own life. I'm going to move it off of the road. It wasn't hard on me because I can dish that. Feeling grief, feeling loss is not hard. It's a natural human emotion. It's like, shaking, being scared, fear, being angry. Those are like, my body's saying, you got to get these out, Joe. But the difference is now that I'm an adult, I need to ask someone's permission. Will you listen?
Yeah.
These relationships. Now, if it was a young person, that's it's different. Let's just, I'm just being a person who's experiencing life in the moment. And most of I think the losses in adults are a backlog of what I would say discharged, released emotion. So, so I'm still probably discharging some of that early loss.
Yeah.
It's losing your mother, losing your home. That's a big loss. But it's sort of like, it doesn't feel as long. It doesn't last as long, you know? I can feel it and then be on with my day, you know? I can just like, but I do it on a regular basis. I have these incredible relationships that, you know, that I have built, you know, that I have many families now. Many, you know, you're part of my family, right? You know, and it's just, we grow each other. You know, this connection, this is like furthering our connection.
Yeah.
You know, and I would want you to do the same with me. Share, open your heart with me. And it's not judging, it's just creating space. Because I want you to know behind me, he has a village behind him. He has people that care about me. When I'm in that water, I have all these flags. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
These are people I know all over the world,
Oh my
or in
goodness.
my life, and I'm taking them with me. And it continues to grow. You know, you'll see next year more flags, more people. Because at one point, there's no hurry. You know, there's no hurry. We want to get it all out at once. It don't work that way.
Yeah.
The key is to dealing with this stuff, you know, is to be gentle, to be kind with yourself. You know, it's okay. You don't, you know, it came in harsh. I'm sorry, but those conditions don't exist. I'm with Helena. Yeah. Oh my God.
We're blessed to be
We're
here.
We're blessed.
Yes,
we are.
really are.
No matter how we feel.
Yeah.
No matter how, it's totally separate. You know, but now we have each other and we can work on those feelings.
Yes.
That's the cool thing. We're not a victim of our circumstances. Those conditions exist, you know, that's where they were back then. If, you know, I go back all the time for little Joe. Little Joe, Big Joe's here.
Yep.
Show,
I'm here for you.
Show me how you feel. You're upset
Yeah.
that little possum. Yeah, of course, little Joe.
Yes.
You know, because young people are like that, don't they? When they see something, they let them feel that.
Yeah.
Just let them know that's okay.
It's learning to like work with the emotion rather than letting it consume us.
Right.
And I want to say too that you're incredible with creating community and allowing others around you to feel safe, to feel comfortable. And I'm grateful that you are such a staple in this community and doing the work that you do to get this message of love and acceptance out here. If for those that are interested in following you and following your swims and supporting Swimming for Women, the program that you're creating, how can they follow your story?
Joe's Yoga and Fitness on Facebook.
Okay.
Probably be the best that I would do that. That's kind of where I spend most of my time.
I know, and you have such beautiful posts on social media, and it's all. I feel like I wake up and I'm like, oh, what did Joe post today? It's always some like an inspiring quote or just beautiful words from you. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for being here, and I hope to have you back because I know that there's so much more that we can get into and to share. It's just what you've learned over the years. And before we close, I would like us to join together for a moment of stillness. If you'd like to sit or lay down and close your eyes and feel what it feels like to be in the body, to be here right now, and all of the elements and all of the feelings that are being felt right now. Allowing all of that to be okay in this moment. Whatever life circumstances you find yourself facing, just for these moments, allowing those circumstances to be okay with this greater knowing that just beyond this curve, there is peace, there is understanding, and there is a closer step to wholeness. And placing our hands on our heart to give ourselves that self-love, that encouragement to keep going, to keep learning, to keep loving ourselves and those around us. And together we'll take a deep breath in and release as one. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you, Joe, once again. You can find Joe's Yoga and Fitness on Facebook to follow his story. I highly recommend you doing that. And you can learn more about Ordinary Pioneer at ordinarypioneer.com. If you enjoyed this video, if you resonated with it, please give it a like and a share and subscribe so you can get notifications for new and upcoming videos that we share. Blessings to you, dear community. Namaste.